Good morning to everyone and to my teachers. I'm a student from SNK Sultan Ismail and my name is Lim Jingshan. I'm a student from 4 Diamond. And today I would like to present the physics project based learning, and the title is Satellite. And the name of my physics teacher is Cikgu Hairunisa binti Jopri. First, this is the content and the table. This is the content and the table of contents show that I will present. First is a brief appreciation, then is introduction, objective, project production procedure, list of materials and apparatus used, budget discussion, and reference source. First is a brief appreciation to my physics teacher, parents, and friends. I would like to thank you to my physics teacher, Cikgu Harnisa binti Jopri, for being a very good physics teacher to our class 4 Diamond. As a responsible physics teacher, you have given us a project-based learning to improve our physics knowledge. Thank you for always have the patience for answering our question and knew just how to explain answer. I would like to thank you again sincerely for teaching me physics. Secondly, I would also like to thank you to my parents for always supporting me and teaching me. Thank you for raising me and providing a good education for me. Lastly, I would like to thank you to my friend that always being helpful, kindness and support. Thank you for being there for me when I really need you. Then I will present the introduction. In the context of space flight, a satellite is an object has been intentionally placed into orbit. These objects are called artificial satellites to distinguish them from natural satellites such as Earth, Moon. In addition, there are two types of satellites. There is geostationary and non-geostationary satellites. Geostationary satellite is a satellite that appears to be located at a fixed point in space when viewed from the Earth's surface. Geostationary satellites occupy an orbital position 36,000 km above the Earth and remain in a stationary position relative to the Earth itself. The world's major existing telecommunication and broadcasting satellites fall into this category. Non-geostationary satellites occupy a range of orbital positions and do not remain a stationary position but instead move in relation to the Earth's surface. And the story of satellites begins with the father of gravity himself, Isaac Newton, in the first published mathematical study of the possibility of an artificial satellite in Newton's cannonball, a thought experiment in a treatise of the system of the world by Isaac Newton in 1687. From there on, the idea of exploring the galaxy through a satellite was used in literary works. The first fictional depiction of a satellite being launched was a short story by Edward Everett Hall entitled The Brick Moon, which continued with renowned authors such as Jules Verne in 1879. In 1903, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky published Exploring Space Using Jet Propulsion Devices, which is the first academic treatise on the use of rocketry to launch spacecraft. In the context of activities planned for the International Geophysical Year, the White House announced on 29 July 1955 that the US intended to launch satellites by the spring of 1958. This became known as Project Vanguard. On 31 July, the Soviets announced that they intended to launch a satellite by the fall of 1957. The first artificial satellite was Sputnik 1, launched by the Soviet Union on 4 October 1957 under the Sputnik program, with Sergei Korolev as chief designer. Sputnik 1 helped to identify the density of high atmospheric layers through measurements of its orbital change and provided data on radio signal distribution in the ionosphere. The unanticipated announcement of Sputnik 1's success precipitated the Sputnik crisis in the United States and ignited the so-called space race within the Cold War. Sputnik 2 was launched on 3 November 1957 and carried the first living passenger into orbit, a dog named Laika. Explorer 1 became the United States' first artificial satellite on 31 January 1958. In June 1961, that 3.5 years after the launch of Sputnik 1, the United States Space Surveillance Network cataloged 115 Earth-orbiting satellites. Currently, the largest artificial satellite ever is the International Space Station. There are many types of satellites such as astronomical satellites, biosatellites, communication satellites, Earth observation satellites, navigational satellites, killer satellites, and others. The advantage of satellites communication is high bandwidth over long distance. It can be cheaper and ground station sites are easier to install and maintain. Not only that, the disadvantage of satellites communication is satellites are not easy to repair and maintain. The design, development, investment, and insurance of satellites requires higher costs. It requires to be monitored and controlled on regular periods so that it remains in the orbit once it has been launched. What is Newton's universal law of gravitation? The gravitational force between two bodies is directly proportional to the product of the masses of both bodies and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the centers of the two bodies. Then this is the picture and of the formula of the universal law of gravity. F equals to the gravitational force between two bodies, G is the gravitational constant, m1 is the mass of first body, m2 is the mass of second body, r is the distance between the center of the first body and the center of the second body. What is the centripetal force? A force that makes body to follow a certain path with direction always towards to the center of curvature. And this is the picture of the centripetal force. F equals to the centripetal force and m is mass, v is linear speed, and r is the radius of circle. What is Kepler's law? Kepler's law divided into three. And the first law is each planet moves in an elliptical orbit with its star at one focus. And the second law is the law of equal areas. An orbiting object will take the same amount of time to travel between points A and B as it takes to travel between points C and D. And third law is the law of harmonics. The square of a planet's orbital time is proportional to its average distance for the star cube. The next is objective. I do for this project-based learning is to prepare a paperwork on the product produced. And the second objective is able to present the end product to people, to produce a video about satellite, to discuss the problems had faced, to make sure the budget of the product is reasonable. Next is the project production procedure. And this is the procedure that how I make the model of satellite. First, I prepare the materials needed. Then second, I draw two same size rectangle and one circle on the cardboard. Third, I cut out the rectangles and circle, then I put the circle aside. Fourth, I paste foil paper on the rectangles. The fifth, I draw the solar panels with black and blue markers pens, and I put them aside. Then sixth, I cut the top of a plastic bottle, then I cut off the label. Then I cut off the bottom of another plastic bottle. And the eighth is I stick the bottom of another bottle to the first bottle, then stick the top of the first bottle on it. And the ninth is I make two holes at the side of the bottles. And the 10th, I use a silver spray paint to color the bottle and the circle. The 11th is go through the two holes with a wooden sticks. Then I use a hot glue gun to staple it. The 12th is I stick the solar panels on the wooden sticks. Then the 13th is I stick the wooden sticks on the top of the bottle, as the pictures show. 4th is after that stick the circle on it. Using hot glue gun to stick so it will stick in a short time. And last, the satellite had done. List of materials and apparatus used. First, the materials I used is plastic bottles, wooden sticks, foil paper, and cardboard. The apparatus I use is scissors, hot glue gun, knife, silver spray paint, marker pens, pencil, ruler, and glue. The budget I do for this product is the budget amount is 11 ringgit 95 cent, and the actual amount is just 3 ringgit 30 cent, because what I use for doing this product is recyclable, and like plastic bottle is no need to buy outside. Then I can reuse the plastic bottle that I have drink before, so I didn't use a lot of money for doing this product. Discussions. Then next is discussion. When I was doing my project, I had faced some problems. Firstly, I found that the foil paper is easy to tear when I was cutting the signs to paste on the rectangles. Therefore, I tried for the second time and become more careful when I was cutting the foil paper. After that, the size of the plastic bottle that I had cut is not suitable to stick with the bottom of another plastic bottle. Then I cut more of the upper part of it to make it suitable to stick with the bottom of another plastic bottle. Lastly, I realized that the information I found in the internet is too much and too long. So I read the information carefully and only read the important points. Besides, I had used recyclable items to make my product. This can reduce the environment pollution and not wasting things. Not only that, I had led more people to gain the knowledge of satellite. What I had learned in this project is I had learned the history of satellite, type of the satellite, and the advantage and disadvantage of satellite communication. I also learned about being environment protection through using the recyclable items to do my product. Last and least is the reference source. First, is the websites that I use for finding the information of the satellite. And I also use our Form 4 physics textbook to find the information of the centripetal force, universal law of gravitation, and Kepler's law. And last is I would like to thank you for Vijay Kumar that the providing a video in YouTube so I can know how to do the model of satellite. That's all for my presentation today. Thank you for watching.